We live in an age of maximum information, yet we act identically. We have the technical freedom to go anywhere and be anyone, but most of us spend our time trapped in a loop of digital scrolling and identical routines. We derive a sense of power from small consumer victories, finding a cheaper laptop or getting the latest phone, while remaining completely addicted to the same short-form content as everyone else on the planet. This creates a strange paradox. We are the most educated generation in history, yet we are also the most exhausted, the most indebted, and the most anxious. What we perceive as a world of boundless choice is actually a closed circuit. It is a highly controlled environment where our preferences are engineered long before we ever reach for the shelf. In the 1940s, two philosophers, Theodor Adorno and Max Horkheimer, began investigating why modern society felt so hollow. They had fled the jackboots of European fascism, a system that used physical terror to force people into line. But when they arrived in America, they discovered a different, more subtle kind of compliance. They realized that while the methods were different, the goal was the same: a population that was predictable, manageable, and profitable. Neither the dictator nor the capitalist wanted a citizen who asked too many questions. They named this system the culture industry. It was a mechanism that controlled people through the standardization of art, music, and mass entertainment, turning the entire human experience into a series of pre-packaged transactions. In a healthy market, consumption begins with a human need. You apply logic to that need, which creates demand, and the market responds with a supply. The consumer is the active driver of the entire process. The culture industry flips this logic. Now production happens first. Companies create a product, then use massive advertising campaigns to manufacture a desire for it. Logic is removed from the loop, turning the customer into a passive recipient of whatever has already been made. To hide this assembly line nature, the system uses pseudo-individualism. It creates the illusion that mass-produced items are actually unique expressions of your personality. You see 50 brands of shampoo or a dozen different data plans and feel like a smart, independent decision maker. In reality, most of these products use the same chemical base and are owned by the same 3 parent corporations. By turning our needs, our style, and even our spiritual milestones into commodities, the system ensures we remain focused on what to buy rather than how to live. Why don't we notice this? Why doesn't our education protect us from being herded like this? Adorno famously argued that amusement is the prolongation of work. The time you think you are spending away from the office has actually been claimed by the same system that employs you. After a grueling workday, you don't have the mental energy for deep reflection. The system knows this, so it provides mindless content, scripted reality shows, and repetitive sports to keep your brain in a low-power standby mode. This entertainment is specifically designed to prevent the quiet, reflective moments necessary for self-awareness. If you are constantly distracted, you will never stop to ask why you are unhappy or what your actual purpose is. Our modern relaxation is actually just a maintenance phase for our productivity. We recharge our batteries through screens just enough to endure another day of work and another evening of consumption. This daily cycle of mindless consumption triggers a cascade that moves through every layer of society. It begins with the passive entertainer becoming the passive consumer. When we lose the habit of questioning the media we watch, we start buying things purely to look cool or fit a trend, ignoring our actual financial reality. This passivity eventually dictates our life paths. If a student spends 12 years accepting every standardized test and pre-packaged curriculum without asking why, they naturally become a passive worker. They pursue careers not out of passion, but because they've been trained to follow the most advertised route to success. This creates a population terrified of deviating from the norm. We end up trapped in debt, paying off degrees we don't use and cars we don't need, because the culture industry has defined our ambitions for us. When human ambition is standardized, the result is an intellectual numbness. A society that stops building its own values becomes a collection of parts in a machine it no longer understands. This leads to the most dangerous stage of the pipeline, the passive voter. When we lose the ability to analyze a product, we lose the ability to analyze a policy. Politics shifts into a fan culture. We start choosing leaders the way we choose a phone brand, based on a vibe or tribal logo, rather than a record of performance. In this environment, democracy becomes a brand-driven spectacle. Intellectuals are ignored, and people begin to worship influencers or gurus who offer easy hope instead of difficult truths. The social cement of the crowd makes anyone who asks a difficult question look like an enemy of the tribe. True rebellion in the modern age is not just about which brand you buy or which side you join. It is the act of reclaiming critical thinking. It is the refusal to be a passive recipient of your own life. By questioning the media that distracts us and the desires that are sold to us, we break the hold of the culture industry. That is how we rediscover our values and rebuild a society of independent, active human beings.